What is up, everybody? Welcome to OMI is My Homie, episode 14. It's crazy how often we have so much to talk about. Every week is like, we have so much to talk about. This week, we truly have, so much to talk about. The first thing we're going to cover today is what VeVe is doing at San Diego Comic-Con 2024. They just put out this list, and it is long. So we're going to go over all of that, right? We're going to show everyone kind of like the blog that they wrote there and go through it. So that's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to talk a little bit about some kind of grassroots advertising that VeVe is doing with doing giveaways via some of the content creators. Talk about that. Talk about some people who seem to be stacking certain collectibles. I'd love to get your guys' insight on if you guys are doing that as well and whether or not you guys think that's a smart move. Also, what's happening to retail comic shops? There's some news out there and some statistics on what's happening there. Also, as you guys have seen, what's happening with the crypto market. We're going to talk a lot about that. And is OMI doing anything, right? We're going to talk about OMI. Obviously, OMI is my homie. Got the Ecomi hat. Shout out to Sanjay for that. Then also, we're going to talk a little bit about whether or not SpaceX, Tesla, or the Boring Company might be coming to VeVe. And then the FTX settlement and what's happened there and the fallout from that, and then applying that to maybe the BitForex situation. Are there some comparisons that we can make there? And all of that on top of community questions and just this general fun discussion. So without further ado, let me say also, we have a special guest that I'm going to bring on in just a little bit. But before I do that, I got to bring on my magnificent co-hosts. We got Crypto Rain and the real Randy Chavez. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Fantastic.
I'm doing quite well. I did a hyperbaric chamber today for the first time ever and feeling pretty good.
Nice.
Wait, what exactly is that? Like a pressure thing with water? What is that?
It's kind of a pressure thing. It is a giant, it's like a little room. There's like 3 chairs in there and it is pressurized, but it's like gives you like a bunch of oxygen. Like it's supposed to just pump out pure oxygen and you have a little mask on and then you breathe it in. It's supposed to super oxygenate the muscles and it's supposed to help heal. So I'm, it was rest day today. I was like, all right, we'll get in. Feel good.
Good, man. Good.
You felt like the Russian in Rocky 4, right? When they're giving him all this stuff so he can beat Rocky.
I don't know if that's supposed to happen after just one time. After a couple of times, I'll let you know. But so it was a 90-minute session. And after like maybe 45 minutes into it, maybe an hour, I just thought of something funny. I don't even know what it was that I thought of. And I was like, I just cracked a smile and I was like, oh my God, I was like ready to crack up, like laughing. And then like I was in there with 2 people and they were going to think I was absolutely nuts. So I was like trying to keep it down. And I was like, am I getting high? Like what is going on? So pure oxygen does wild things to you.
Interesting. You know what I love though is like when Rain is like, yeah, it's kind of like the Russian thing. So you can beat Rocky and you just like rolled with it. Like that was kind of for real. Like he was being serious. So you're like, yeah, maybe not after 1, but maybe after 2 or 3, I could probably totally take
I mean, if they do blood doping, I guess it's a natural form of blood doping.
I know it was just funny the way you just rolled with it. You're like, yeah. Maybe not after 1, but 2 or 3, probably. Yeah, at least Apollo Creed you could take out, right? So good. Well, gentlemen, hey, we've got a special guest today, right?
Yes.
He's been on a couple times before, but maybe some of the audience. They weren't there. They don't know who he is. Maybe they've seen some of his tweets. He's come on Twitter Spaces a few times with O'Milly, Mr. MC1. But let me do a little introduction, right? So Crypto Cosmo, he got into crypto as early as 2017, but didn't get real serious into it until 2021. And that's when he really started to do a deep dive into Web3, right? NFT projects and crypto as a whole, including VeVe, right? And I was the one who was really pushing him to get into VeVe, and it took about 5-6 months really of just chatting with him before he finally saw the light there. And but then VeVe truly kind of got him even more and more into the Web3 space. So yeah, he got into OMI and VeVe around August of 2021. He's got a VeVe gold and silver logo. He's got multiple SR Ecomi logos. and been a master collector since the Breaking Machine came out. And he's I would call him maybe like a mini whale. The guy's got over 100 million OMI. He can tell us more about it. Anyways, without further ado, let's bring on Crypto Cosmo to the stage.
Yo.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Cosmo? How you doing, man?
Cosmo?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, how much OMI do you have again?
I think I just hopped up to 170 million. So
170 million.
Trying to continue stacking. Yeah.
That is not a small amount.
That's a good start.
That's
It's a good start. Good start.
That's
kind of
decent. Well, that, like, I'm not going to comment. No comment. In my current position. But hey, look, before we get into all of this, all of these topics and things, I just want to shout out some of these people. We got JC, Bill Gardner, Kroner, Jason Pena, 2000, Vladimir Colombet. Appreciate you, fam. Wes, we're going to talk about your poll a little bit later when we're talking about the crypto market and OMI and what's going on there. We got Nathan Hanna who says, "Yo, what up, fam?" from Perth, Australia. Nice. That is a ways away. What time is it there? And are you in the future? Are you in is it Thursday there? Yeah. That's wild. Toyota Prius. I never seen that name before. That is amazing. Obviously, a Randy fan with the spread. Bill Gardner says, "Somebody better call the doctor." I love that. What up, Big A? We got Dutch Homie in the house. Mass Murders. What's up?
I love him. He's awesome.
Justin says, "We all float down here?" Question mark.
That's a Pennywise reference.
Yeah, that's a Pennywise.
I think everyone knows that.
Well, I think that we're going to be talking potentially a little bit about that as well, right? Yeah. Pennywise or what's going on there. The Biomex, Dutch Homie, the Sketch Lab. What's up, the Sketch Lab? By the way, Sketch Lab, if you guys don't know him, he does cartoons. He did some great work. I read some super fun and funny. FM, Wes, okay, SoCal, Omi Homie. Hey, what's up, SoCal? And Bean Tech. I met Bean Tech in real life. He says, "Hey, what's up?" Oh, SoCal, thank you for doing this. Look, guys, please smash, push, crush, or gently caress, however you want to do it, right? Toggle the like, subscribe, and all notifications buttons. Let's get those subscribership up. I'd love to get my YouTube channel to 1,000 subscribers so I can get monetized. I think that's good. And I think it'll be important too, because I'll just be able to get more exposure as I do a lot of live stuff at San Diego Comic-Con with Crypto Rain and Real Randy Chavez, right? We're all going to be we might be doing some live streams at the same time. We might be covering a lot of different things, but I think the more exposure I can get so that people can kind of get a lot of different flavors of what's happening, because I'm getting all these emails under the press pass of all of these events that are happening. It's just bombarding me with all of these different things. It's overwhelming, truly, how crazy it is. So anyways, love any support that you guys could give the channel and to all of us here. Hey, look at this. Ayo, Cosmo. Big
yeah.
Again, what's up, Wes? Nathan Hanna. Oh, it's 8 a.m. Thursday there.
Wow.
I'm going to work. So yeah, anyways, we got RJ Lincoln and Richard Samuel. Okay. So guys, VeVe just dropped kind of their itinerary, right? The schedule of what they're going to be doing for San Diego Comic-Con. Have you guys seen? Have you read it? Gone through everything?
Heck yeah.
Okay. Well, it looks like Rain hasn't. I'm going to present my screen here because I got the blog pulled up here. I'm going to present this, and we're going to kind of go over everything here. It's pretty wild, guys. Hopefully you can see that here. So here's their announcement. Obviously, the VeVe Twitter, they've got this posted and stuff. But first thing that they're announcing, they're doing some VeVe exclusive physical variant comics. So what does that mean? Exclusive physical variant comics. Do you want to expound on that, Randy? What that means?
Yeah, sure. So hi, Sleepin', I love you. In the New York Comic-Con back in October, we had Addiction, that comic. It had an exclusive VeVe variant where it had VeVe on the pizza pie, and then we had one of the Spider-Man comics. I forget which one it was, but it had a specific VeVe variant where it had VeVe on there on the label. got it graded and everything with CGC. So on this one, it looks like this one, there'll be on the back of it on the back of the comic is going to be a VeVe on the back. So it's actually in print, it's on there. So that's really cool. I think this is just a nod that Marvel's doing, saying like, hey, we're obviously moving forward in this digital age with VeVe, and here's just a quick nod to that.
So correct me if I'm wrong here, though, because my understanding is that until San Diego Comic-Con, this cover was only available in digital format on VeVe, but now it's coming to the physical form for the first time. Am I mistaken in that?
This one, I don't know if that's actually on, if we can get that digitally.
We can get that one on there.
Yeah.
Oh, you can get it on VeVe Comics?
Yeah, this is the ultra rare. This is the ultra rare on VeVe. The digital format. This cover right here is an ultra rare.
Did it drop on VeVe or did it drop on VeVe Comics?
VeVe.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that one. Okay. Yeah, I was the wrong person to ask this question too. I could have sworn it was just on the VeVe Comics, if it was at all. But okay. So obviously you have Deadpool on there with, I forget the lady, the blind lady that he lives with. I forget her name, but she's awesome. If anyone's seen the movies, and she will be in the movie as well.
Oh, so sorry. Her name is Al, or Blind Al.
Yeah.
And yeah, she is in the movies. She's a fun character. She has like this, like it's like her and Deadpool are like roommates, you know. So that's great. But yeah, so let's look at some of these physical variants. This one, oh my gosh! So this is dropping right here during San Diego Comic-Con. The digital version, because this is saying when is this dropping? The digital version of this, right?
Tomorrow.
Is that tomorrow? Yeah, okay, tomorrow. And again, this is the ultra rare, right? And then the rare is just like a black and white version with just like the main characters typically are in color.
Yeah.
So that's what leads me to believe that these are like the ultra rares and rares are in a lot of the comics that VeVe has dropped, unique and specific just to VeVe. Like they're exclusive to VeVe. And so now they're going to be getting these VeVe ultra rares for the first time in physical form, which will be super exciting. And on top of that, like you're seeing, right, like over here is that oh, you can't see my mouse, but that VeVe on the left there, VeVe's logo, right, on the back. And so there's the bundles there. You can get the one with the title and all of that information, or you can get it in the virgin cover there as well. And they're going to be pretty limited there, so you can get these in bundles. Then this one, man, I love this cover, right? Amazing Spider-Man 252. What an incredible, like on VeVe, this is such a sharp cover. So like I am really excited for this one. And again, you can on this one, it's just this form, right? There's not a virgin variant of that. And then you got the X-Men 141 and 142. And this is the story really about the Sentinels and Days of Future Past timeline, right? So they it was fun, man. When they released X-Men 97 recently, I went back and watched all of the original X-Men, cartoons, and it was so nostalgic for me. And then I watched like the last season. It was like season 4 or season 5. I don't remember. And I was like, yeah, I remember why this got canceled. Because that last season was pretty bad. It was not very good. But X-Men 97 was so cool. But they covered this, right, in the timeline. And one of the things that was great about rewatching it like that is back in the day, like these things didn't come in order, right? Like you would have like the Saga of the Phoenix, like, and it would be like episode 1, and then they would do all of these other episodes, and then it would be like episode 2 of the Phoenix Saga would be like 2 or 3 months later. You know what I mean? Like, so it was really cool to like watch that in order. Oh man, so freaking awesome there. And then they've got here some, and look, sorry, Rain and Cosmo, if you guys want to jump in at any time, have at it. But they've got these. So then they say that there's some con exclusive drop in crafting events, and they're going to have more details on the drops in the blog and all their socials. But here's what they can say. They're doing an Uncanny X-Men number 134, the digital comic. So that will just drop on VeVe on July 25th. Wolverine's brown suit. So we're going to get another collectible, like a 3D collectible, right? That will be dropping on July 26th. It'll be interesting to see if that's animated, if that has sound, or what that's going to be. Is it just one version of it? Are they going to have a chase variant of that? They also have Ant-Man digital collectibles. See, when it's saying digital collectibles, like I'm feeling that there's multiple versions. On the 27th of July, and then 247 Comics Zero Ghost 2024. That's going to be dropping digitally on the 27th, and we're going to go down a little bit later. It's going to talk about the physical version to get like signings or access to that. You're actually going to have to demonstrate or prove that you actually minted this comic on the drop to be able to get that. So, and then we got the Addiction number 2 exclusive crafting events. That's going to be on the 28th. And I don't know if you've seen some of those the covers that Vincent Zerzulo has been showing, but those are straight fire. Then, and this says meets and greets, signings, and more. Like, I'm just going to take a breath there. What do you guys think so far, Rain and Cosmo, about these exclusive physical, like digital variants that are coming to the physical form for the first time?
I think that idea is amazing. If VeVe catches on, and I don't see why VeVe doesn't go huge, then probably these physical versions be worth a fortune in the future. So I'm going to pick up some. So those that are going to San Diego Comic-Con, don't buy them all before I get there.
Yeah, me and Rain have a habit of buying all of them.
Yeah,
just like 700. Not a lot of them, just 700.
Like for me, I feel like this is a super important step for VeVe to continue doing, because what better way to extend a kind of a welcoming hand to the physical collectors that are feeling just like the digital way is ruining to kind of their way of collecting. And honestly, I think it's a great way to bring physical collectors into the VeVe community and see what VeVe's all about and show them that the community really is about collecting, right, in general. And so be it physical collectors, digital collectors, come one, come all, and come see what VeVe's all about. And I think that they'll find there's a lot more to be interested in than what they just initially come in for.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited. It was funny. Dr. Rolex made a tweet and he was like, I'm getting FOMO and I'm going. And I was like, me too. It's so crazy. Like, I'm already going, but I'm just like, oh no, am I going to be able to get these physical versions? Like, I'm ready to drop some dough to get these. And Rain and Randy, it makes me think of when we went to the Bat Cowl event in New York, right? And they had that kind of the Bat Cowl, the first kind of comic book tied to the Bat Cowl there. And we bought like 50 each or something.
I think we brought them out. Like they
sold out there, you know, like from that first print. And we were just like, we're stacking. We're just like, can I buy more? I still have the stack somewhere here.
I have the stack in storage wrapped in plastic.
Yes. Yep. I have one that's wrapped in plastic. And then I actually did some giveaways early on and sent some out there for people supporting the channel. But look, I got to shout out VeVe Fam and Jay Green, right? It's Jay Green. Those guys, Jay Green VeVe right here. Those guys busted their butt, man, to make this happen and put this together. There's going to be an epic event. Now it's already kind of sold out. They've already, Fan Bam was out there posting, hey, if you're coming, get in contact with me. Doing everything. And this is before we found out that VeVe was going to sponsor the event. But starting at 9 p.m. on July 25th, we're meeting at the Hazard Center, and it's going to be a VeVe Fam event, right? And everyone who bought those Amelie tees, right? Like, this is what I'm going to be wearing that night. And I think that there's a lot of people who are going to be doing that, right? And we're going to stick out like a sore thumb. It'll be awesome. I think it'll be conversation starter as we're all going and basically rented out this theater to watch Deadpool and Wolverine. It's going to be epic, man. So shout out to Fan Bam and Jay Green VeVe for all the hard work and kind of making that happen. And that's what's so special about this community. It's just people just putting in all of this extra time just to make things happen and make these events extremely special for the people who are able to make it there. You got, again, the addiction stuff. There's a Ryan Brown exclusive cover. I mean, this artwork is crazy, right? Like, so there's going to be some physical comic signings there, and it lists kind of the times now. You've got, let's see. So there's the event for the gold and silver logos, 3 to 5 p.m. Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, 4 to 5 p.m. on Friday at 16. There's David Yu and the VeVe gold and silver logo holders. He's going to be able to meet you at the booth and give out exclusive redemption codes to holders. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, though, Randy. Didn't Mr. MC1 on your stream just the other day say that it was actually going to be the gold and silver like exclusive handouts were going to be at his event?
I don't know if he said which event they were going to be at. But they are going to be at the con. They'll be at the con, and then they'll be either at his event or the VeVe event.
Okay, but that's
so there'll be multiple places to get them.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say, I hope it's not just during the Comic-Con, because there's people who are gold and silver logo holders who couldn't get tickets to San Diego Comic-Con, so they will be able to go and get that redemption at the after party there. So good. But yeah, so just a lot of comic signings here, and this is where I was talking about that Zero Ghost #1 physical comic signing. It says right here that, first of all, it's limited to 247 copies that they'll sign, and to get your physical variant, you must show you minted a Zero Ghost #1 digital comic on the VeVe app, right? So I think that that's going to be pretty cool too, is that if people are like, hey, I want this signed, they're going to be like, yo, you got to go on and buy this on the app, you know? So it's a way to kind of get people who maybe aren't familiar, but maybe they're big fans of this new Zero Ghost comic book or excited to see what it's about, that there'll be some exposure there to VeVe. Ultraman Rising, right? So just in June, they did this new Netflix released Ultraman Rising, that little series there. And so there's going to be some Ultra Subiara Fields. They have their own media booth. Man, look at there's still so much to do. VeVe swag. I'm so excited to get some actual like San Diego Comic-Con VeVe swag. It says they got a fun range of goodies. They designed for Comic-Con attendees, strictly limited quantities each day. I'm like, dude, I don't know how early I got to line up, but like I'm gonna be freaking there super early so I can just run to that booth and make sure that I get that. And then there's going to be a VeVe Quest. It says 100 prizes to give out per day to those who successfully complete VeVe Quest. Now, we don't know exactly what it is, except for they just say that one of the tasks is going to be the VeVe Comics Reader app on your phone. So if you guys aren't aware, you could buy comics. So there are drops that happen on the VeVe app, but then also there are comics that are like same day releases in the physical form that also drop digitally on VeVe Comics website, and you can buy those comics there. But then there's a VeVe Comic Reader app on top of just the VeVe app. So you'll want to check that out if you haven't. Download that and actually try reading some of the comics on that Reader app. It is way more friendly to do than trying to read it on VeVe. But then you don't have the AR version of that, by the way, if you're going to do that on the Reader app. But then we got these bad boys, guys. I'd love Crypto Cosmo. I'd love to know like what your thoughts are on these jackets that they got, because you got the physical jacket, you got the digital gold and silver Stan Lee, and then you got the artwork that's on the inside of the jacket that's also a digital NFT.
Yeah, I think this is a great additional collab that VeVe's doing. Like, I think these things that they're doing little by little are just continuing to put them in a place where they're going to be more and more recognized, right? Like, this is something that great projects do, is they continue to find ways to make the project interesting. And whether you're like into the physical collectibles or not, like the fact that they've got this merchandise that has signatures, it's signed from Stan Lee, it's got the jackets, it's official logos. It is another fun way that VeVe is continuing to make a mark in just little ways to keep people engaged. And I love that it's exclusive merch as well. So there's going to be people that are definitely going to be going to this. I love it. I'm a huge fan.
What are your thoughts, Rain?
The jacket's pretty legit. I think it's cool. The digital collectible on the side too. It looks like there's going to be 9 jackets. And if you happen to buy one of those, then you get to you'll get some redemption codes to get 2 of the digital collectibles too. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be so. All 9 jackets. We know that there's 3 different versions of the jacket, right? And each jacket, like it's not the same jacket. Like there's different jackets with different pictures, like on the inside, right, as well. And so I'm wondering if there's 3 of each of those. It'll be very interesting to see like what the price is. I'd love to get you guys' guesstimates on what, because we don't know a price yet. But what do you think the price is going to be on this jacket?
One of 9.
Yeah, it's hard to tell where they're really going to price it, right? So
Hundreds.
the Louis Vuitton shoes are about all we have to go off. And what did those go for?
Well, those Louis Vuitton shoes were like, or not Louis Vuitton, but you're talking about.
Louis Vuitton.
No, it was what's his
Vuitton.
name? I'm blinking out there, but the
Weren't they
C,
Louis Vuitton?
No, they weren't Louis Vuitton. They were the Louboutin.
Yeah, yeah,
Louboutin.
yeah.
Louboutin.
No, are we saying that right? I'm gonna have to look at that. But like,
Fanny yelled at me. She says it's called Louboutin.
okay, there you go, Louis Vuitton. Yeah, so I mean, Queen VeVe, right? She bought those shoes and got that, and but I think that the shoes were like $2,000, $2,500, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think they were.
So
Yeah,
of course you are
especially
fans
Louis
of that
Vuitton.
brand name.
Okay.
Leather jackets themselves aren't cheap, and then having it underneath, it'll be like a social status flex. Is it worth it? I'd rather get like 30, common Batmans, or not Batmans, Darth Vaders or something. But it is really cool. Like, I like leather jackets a lot. I think it's a cool piece. I imagine they'll sell out and they'll be cool, and they'll probably do well, because what's cool about this, I love that Digital Collectibles is bringing this physical version too. So you get both, because on a lot of these things, when you buy it, you'll be able, like if you're buying smart and the item is really popular, you'll be able to buy it, essentially get the physical one for free because you sell the digital one and make your money back. And so, like, is that going to happen on everything? No, on the highly sought after drops, that's what happens. So.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's going to be in the $2,000 to $2,500 range for each of these jackets. Just because if we're basing it off of kind of like the Christian Louboutin. Now, granted, like
that seems like
the
a lot.
Multiverse Clothing Company is not like a high profile, glamour brand. So it might not be that, but the artist. But so here's the other thing along with this drop, though, right? Is if you buy the first drop, then you get access to the second drop. So there's only 9 people who get access to that second drop. And from the initial article that they released back in April, they said that there's like a chance. So there's like a code or like a QR code on the jacket itself that will give you access to that drop. And it says that there's going to be some like some sort of bonus, or I'm trying to remember what the term that they used, but I think that there's a chance that you'll get like the actual artwork from some of these people, or the chance to win that artwork. If you look at the original article there. So anyways, yeah, it says you'll get the codes to redeem 2 legendary Stanley collectibles at VeVe. And then you can sign up to get early access to the drop. And then if it doesn't sell out there, then it'll go to the July general sale from the 25th to the 28th, or until sold out. So it could go longer than that. And that's what leads me to believe that these are probably going to be priced pretty high. Because if there's only 9 of them and they're like, maybe it doesn't sell out in those 3 days, it's probably because it's a decently high price point. But I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for these collaborations. And what this does is it offers a broad range for collectors, right? You can get the whales who are more likely to go for some of these things. Like Rain said, for the social flex part, it's not necessarily about investing and being like, oh, what's my return on this going to be? And it's more like, I want to be one of the 9 people that's wearing this jacket so that I can show that and show up at these parties with that and flex that. And then there's things like the Mermicornos right here, right? Like, which I'm really stoked about. And what we're seeing here is these constant collaborations. So what you have to get to potentially get these Captain Stormy Secret Rare, the only way that you're going to get this digital VeVe NFT is you've got to go to the Mermicorno or Tokidoki booth, 4245, and buy some blind boxes there of the physicals. And then if when you open the blind box physical, you end up getting the Captain Stormy, which is a chaser variant, then you'll be able to redeem the Tokidoki Mermicorno Captain Stormy digital collectible at VeVe, right? So that's happening for Captain Stormy, and then also for Ahoy, which is a ultra rare there. So it's this collaboration because now Tokidoki's like, we're selling physicals, right? So they're all stoked because there'll be VeVe fans that are going there specifically to try to get these rare Tokidokis. And I know that there's people who try to collect all the Tokidoki sets. And if it's any indication of what's happened in the past, is that some of these people, they'll go buy these blind boxes, they'll get the Tokidoki secret rare or ultra rare, and they won't cash in that code, the VeVe code, and so then there will be even less of these actually available on VeVe. And then we also have this Ultraman Rising poster, right? And the only way that we know how to get that is you've got to go to their booth, right? Visit our friends from why can't I say that? Subaraya Productions and find out how to get an exclusive promo code. So I mean, look at that list of all these things that they have going on. I'm just extremely excited, guys, for all the things. Like I've got to map out because I'm going with Rain and Cosmo. We're all actually going to go down together. And it's like, I got to map out like timeframes of like when these things are happening, because there's so many other things I also want to see. But wild times. There we go.
I love all of that.
So shout out to VeVe Vet. He says, I love Comic-Con time. A lot of drops will happen and the market drops, which helps me complete sets, which this is Crypto Rain's, like, his whole ideology, right, on investing is buy when things like are low, right? And there's all this hype and there's a lot of shine on these new announcements and things. And so people are like, well, I want the newest, shiniest thing. So then they're selling other things at a discount to try to get the new shiny thing. So VeVe Vet is taking advantage of that and completing sets. And I've done that in the past too, right? Like you can get some pretty good mint numbers on things too. So I would just say if you guys are mint hunters or looking for that special piece right before these Comic-Cons and things, is actually a really good time to kind of check out the market and see if there isn't a discount on one of those prices. So we've got John M saying the jackets are less than $400. That's interesting to me, because if that's the case, I think that's worth it, because honestly, you're going to only have 9 gold and silver Stan Lees, like digital collectibles. Like I feel like those alone will go for around that, if not more. No. So that'll be interesting if that's the case.
And then the artwork on the back, I mean, like in the jacket has Stan Lee's face. One, it looks cool, and that's what I mean. It's one of 9, so I think people would wear it regardless. But it looks cool. Again, I like the leather jackets, obviously. But then, like the art in the background when you hang it up, it's like, Stan Lee. You know, it's just cool when you see that.
Absolutely. You got Mark Witten saying, never forget Ink Stories Eve is FA physical, VeVe physical. True. Gobi Apparatus is saying, if I could mount my VeVe NFTs in my house, I'd buy a lot. And I think that's something that I would like to see the technology. We do have technology like that's there, but like it's still pretty. It's not good. It's not good. You know, like you can get those digital display cases, and I've seen they had some actually at Decon a couple years ago, but they were pretty small frames and things. And like I don't know if it's going to be. We got to wait, Gobi, for like the AR VR goggles, to get better, right? So that just glasses, and then you can pin stuff. So then when people walk in and be like, hey, like download the VeVe app and you can see all the collectibles that are pinned, you know, here or something. But I feel, I definitely think that would be, and I think it's coming, but I don't know how long that it's going to take for that technology to truly be there to where the price isn't so crazy that only the rich are really doing it. It's got to become mainstream, but I think that's coming at some point. And when that does, that's when I think that a lot of these things people are going to realize and look back and be like, of course I should have been buying some of these super rare items or these big IP things of course, like, and I think that people look back in history, you know, things happen, and then they look back and they're like, of course I should have bought Amazon stock. Of course it was, you know, but at the time there was a lot of FUD around those things. So that's my take on it. But I just think that digital collectibles are going to be coming. What do you guys think?
Can I add something into that point as well, Doc?
Yeah.
This, like, I truly believe that technology is definitely coming. It's going to be widespread where you can pin digital versions of things. I think there's going to be a digital overlay over the physical world at some point down the road. It'll take a while to get there. But one of the things that I love about VeVe and why I'm so bullish on it is because I believe this technology will come to VeVe, and with the ability that they've shown to make high level partnerships, I believe that they will be able to make the kind of partnerships with the big companies that will be meaningful for this type of technology, where you can partner with a company where everybody's already kind of using it, and then they can now integrate their VeVe collectibles into it. I believe they have that capability. Will it happen for sure? I don't know, but I love what VeVe has proven they can do, where they can partner with the biggest IPs out there. And so it gives me great confidence that if anybody's going to be able to make this fun and make this accessible for the masses, I believe VeVe's there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
What about you, Randy?
There is, I'll save that one for after this. There's a trend that a lot of big companies do, where they do things that maybe doesn't make a ton of sense, and then it pays off later. So Apple, when Apple TV first came out, or Amazon first, they had built a bunch of TV shows that nobody watched at first, but it got all of these little tiny awards at all these random award shows. And once they built up a repertoire of that, they were able to get just better actors and better funding, better writers and all that. And then before you know it, you know, Amazon is spending $500 million on Lord of the Rings before even an episode comes out. And then, of course, unfortunately, it had some mixed reviews, but there's a lot of companies that do that between Apple, Amazon. So I think the physical things, the physical collaborations that they're doing, maybe up front, it doesn't necessarily make VeVe a ton of money, because digitally, obviously, the margins are going to be greater. But what that does is that shows everyone, hey, they're doing these physical partnerships. You had it with Funko, you had it with Marvel, you had the Louis Vuitton. These are high-end brands. And then there's someone that I met last year that I guess he thought I worked for VeVe, because I let him believe that. And I was like, yeah, when are you guys announcing? It's like, oh, we'll announce, you know, on this day. And this date has passed, so they haven't announced yet. There's another pretty cool company that VeVe is partnering with, and that hasn't come out yet. So obviously these things, which might not make sense at first, they have a really awesome impression on other high-end companies and big brands, and you'll see that hopefully in the next couple months.
A lot of what I think about is what ends up increasing in value over time, and that's something that's been fascinating to me since I was a kid. So baseball cards stopped really doing super well in about 1990s because they printed off so much. But a lot of the stuff before did well, and hockey cards and basketball cards did really well. Real estate does really well, and a lot of it has to do with supply and demand. Demand being the primary thing. So we're talking about VeVe collectibles here, and there's a certain amount of demand now for them. The question is, in the future, is there going to be a demand like this versus the current demand, which about meets supply? And I think that's going to be the case, especially as augmented reality becomes a bigger part of our reality. And then it will be really easy to look back and be like, oh my gosh, why didn't I see what was coming with VeVe? And the reason why a lot of people will miss it is because they don't have what I call the golden vision. And golden vision is the ability to see how things are now and the things coming in the pipeline to be able to project what the future might look like with pretty good guesses. And that golden vision, I realized only about 10% of people have it. And you can't make somebody have it. I guess they get it or they don't. You can like help them develop it over time if they want to, but it's like leading a horse to water, and they often won't even try to drink. And when you try to explain it to them, they just don't get it. But for those that like can put two and two together, you can see some of these things coming. You see where augmented reality is coming. You see this, the digital collectibles, like VeVe is getting the largest brands out there, or many of the largest brands. They're putting them in augmented reality format. Are they easy to display in your house right now? No, just on your VeVe app. Is it easy to integrate with social media? Not really. You can take screenshots and you can put in your social media, but it doesn't automatically integrate yet. Well, what might that look like in 3 years or 4 years? Probably different. What if you're able to give people a link and they can at any time go into your augmented reality VeVe-verse, like your little house that you have together, and then go through and see all the stuff that you put together in the arrangements you put together in? I think that would probably be potential, and that might be a couple of years from now. Cool. What about augmented reality? People look in and go into your house and they have glasses on, maybe like these, but they can also see augmented reality. And then they see all these cool comic books that you have placed all over your house and the other art pieces, and they're like, holy cow. And all of a sudden the social flex for these things goes higher. Now, is it going to play out like that? Possibly. Probably. Even it will probably play out that way. But who knows? Some of that is a guess. I do know that Marvel Comics is such a big deal. And we have the digital version of those. And I do think a lot of collectibles will go digital because, like, Bitcoin is a kind of a better form of gold in a lot of ways as a store of value. I think digital comics have, and digital like collectibles have some advantages that physical collectibles don't have. First of all, physical collectibles, you end up running out of room, as any physical collector knows. Like, after a while, you're having to buy a bigger and bigger house just to start displaying all your stuff. And you don't always have the money for a bigger and bigger house. But digital collectibles, you'll be able to store endless amounts of them. And that'll be cool. Also, there's an instantaneous marketplace when you go to sell it, which is so preferable over physical collectibles. If you've ever had a physical collectible and then your 2-year-old accidentally damages the box, oh, well, crap, there just went 60% of the value right there. As well as then you got to ship it. Sometimes you have to have it graded. Just, they're way harder than what digital collectibles are going to be. So I think the world is going to go a lot towards digital collectibles, yet most people aren't there yet. So right now demand is here. Supply is about here. And I think in the future, demand is going to be this, which will drive prices on some of these smarter, earlier ones that end up being in massive demand way up, which is why VeVe has so much of my attention, and Ecomi, their token, has so much of my attention.
So it's interesting. I mean, to this point, right, about like what's in the future. Ron Close is right. Like right now, 90% of people aren't going to want to pop on VR goggles to check out digital art. 100%. I completely agree with that right now. And what it makes me think of is, I don't know if you guys remember the first car phones. Like, I'm dating myself, right? But like, I remember like seeing these massive bricks, right, in the console. And I mean, people just looked like idiots, and they're on their phone and it was like wired and stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you look absolutely ridiculous. And even like the first like real big cell phones and stuff, just these bricks, and like no one had them, like just the rich as kind of like a flex, like, but honestly, like most people just made fun of them, right? They're just like looked like an idiot. But now everyone has cell phones, like everyone does, right? Like, and I think that's just the progression of the technology. And so you're right. Right now, I can't imagine people trying to put on VR goggles to walk into my house and be like, see my digital collectible now? No. Right. And that kind of goes to what Mark Wynn had said here. He says, rumor has it AirPods with cameras got patented by Apple to improve Apple Vision Pro experience, right? We're going to start seeing the technology continue to improve to where like everyone has like the capacity to do that on the glasses that they just buy. You know, and it's going to take some time to get to that price point. I don't know how long that is in the future, but that's the thing is like sometimes some of these things that we're thinking about could be 10 years from now. And will VeVe make it in 10 years? I don't know. It's a risk, but for me, the risk to reward is so massive there. Like that reward to the risk, I'm just like, it's absolutely worth it for me there. But so John M said, the jacket company tweeted this, going back to that Stan Lee collab, the quality is way more than 400, but the price much less. Man, I don't know how we're going to get that drop. Now I'm stressed because before I was like, oh, if it's this price point, I'm like, I'm not even going to think about it. But if it's like less than $400 and there's only 9, like I think it's going to be like, it will definitely sell out. It will definitely sell out. But the question is, what size are these jackets, right? You're going to buy like an extra large, or is it a large, or who's going to fit into these? And maybe you just hang it up regardless. But Yeah, we got it. We got to shout out Maxwell here, who did a super chat. Beer money. Shout out to Rain for the Crypto Hero course. Rain, do you want to talk about that just real quick? Your Crypto Hero course.
Yeah. So my main course is called Zero to Crypto Hero, and it really is a long course built to help people get caught up to speed with crypto investment. A lot of people do crypto investment wrong, and they just get wrecked over and over again, or even they do okay, but they missed major opportunities because they haven't learned to think about it right. We're really just early stage business investors, and you're looking for certain patterns of things that can help you determine when the odds are stacked in your favor and at what price they're stacked in your favor. Helps people think the right way. Now, a lot of this comes from before I was in crypto, I was in real estate investment for 18 years. I was still in real estate investment when I started in crypto. I did real estate investment for about 4 years more, where crypto retired me in 2021. And so I've been in crypto for 7 years now. And so a lot of this was me digging in. I wish somebody else had created this course, and it could have shaved off a whole bunch of time out of my life. And I could have learned these things faster because I would have made so much more money. But nobody really thought this way. And so I had to create it. And I created it to help people speed up their crypto journey and their learning cycle. Now, do you have to take the course? No. You can just go back and watch 4 years of my videos, but that would take you like 500 hours or more. And the course is just a condensed way to get there faster. Cool.
Doc, you're on mute.
I don't have the link in the description, Rain, but there is a link on your YouTube channel, right?
Right.
Okay, so perfect there. So again, thanks, Maxwell. That's awesome. We love the super chats. Keep them coming. Mark Wynn says, YouTube operated for 4 years at a loss and only started to be profitable in 2010. It's all about the foresight, right? And Big A says that he had the brick phone back in 1990 in high school. Thank goodness phones improved. Right. Yeah. I mean, wow. Props to you for having that phone. My dad had the phone for a little bit with like one of the company cars he had. And I was just like, this is embarrassing. Like, I did not want to be seen with it. I was just like, which is funny because it was like this technology. And yeah, let's see. James Galashaw says, hooked. I blame Randy for my addiction. Look, shout out to Randy. Randy, I'm just going to give you some flowers for a second, man. Like, there's so many people like that you've brought into this, and just like your constant content that you're constantly just, man, you're hustling all the time. Just with current news, you're doing live streams all the time. Like, how many live streams did you do, or how many shows and stuff like did you do last year? You have that number, right?
Yeah, give me a minute and I'll find it. It was a lot.
I think it was more than days in the year.
Yeah, 100%. And that was true for 2022 as well. 2021, I was still working for a quarter-ish of the year. But there's new viewers, returning viewers, subscribe videos. All. If I do all, it should be published content. Okay. For 2020, it does. Okay, 2023, 243 live streams and 197 videos. And then there's 37 shorts as well. I don't know if that really counts. But in total, it was 440 pieces of content. And then the shorts I made out of those. So there's an additional 40 shorts.
Yeah, it makes me think of, as Mr. MC1 bought 10% of your channel, right? And he's been working hard for you in setting up some stuff and getting you some exposure there, which is great, right? And it's this mutually beneficial thing. But I love what he said, that he's not necessarily betting on your channel. He's betting on you as a person, and he's seeing that work ethic. And we're starting to see this come to pass, right? So why don't we jump in? Well, look, Gobi's apparatus says, what's David you up to, and is he going to make OMI successful? We're going to talk about OMI a little bit more, so we'll come back to that. Gobi, if you can hold that thought and maybe post it again, like once we get to that section of the show. But yeah, like let's jump into talking about content creators and hard work ethic. there's been like VeVe has started to do some giveaways through content creators, and on your channel. Is that not correct, Randy? You want to talk some more about that?
Yeah, they did it twice. They had messaged me the first time just on X. It was my Collectibles. He reached out and he's like, "Hey, we're going to do a spotlight." And they do it with a bunch of people now. I think they just did it on Millie's space here before. They did it, I think, yesterday on my stream. But he had messaged me last week. It was a few days before the Mighties drops. Like, "Hey, are you going live on Saturday?" It's like, "Yeah. Of course." He says, "Hey, we'd like to do a giveaway on your channel." Like, "Oh, that'd be great." And then he says, "Well, you can, it's your channel, run it the way you want. We'll just provide the collectible." It's like, "Okay, cool." And I did, and it was fun. And then they were live yesterday, and spur of the moment, they just commented like, "Hey, we'd like to do a giveaway." It's like, "Oh, this is awesome." So that was cool. They and again, they do this for multiple people now, and it's just a way that it's kind of VeVe's way of saying like, "Hey, if you watch these content creators, maybe you can get a free collectible because they don't have." Oh, speak of the devil.
Look at this.
Let's go.
We don't have transfers right now, and but that's how we got a lot of engagement back in the day. Is we had transfers, and every Sunday I would do a giveaway, and they took them away, understandably, because obviously they have to cut down on the money laundering and stuff that was going on. But now, yeah, they're trying to do what they can. So I like that. It was great.
I love that. So for people who might just be listening, not watching, VeVe Digital Collectibles came on and says, "Great to see you live tonight." And this is what I'm talking about, right? Like this is a way to kind of do grassroots advertising where they're coming and supporting the content creators, like who aren't getting paid, but they'll come on and make comments, right? Like I feel so supported, even just them coming on and having these comments. That's so amazing to take the time to do that. And then some of these giveaways. So why I'm bringing this up and why we think it's important enough to talk on the show is make sure that you're tuning in to the content creators, because you never know when VeVe's going to pop up and say, "Hey, we're going to do this giveaway and stuff." And I think I saw VeVe Magic. She just won one on O'Malley's Space. She won one of those, right? It's super awesome. So make sure that you're giving support and that you're jumping in those spaces, O'Malley and Tails, and like there's so many content creators in so many different avenues, right? YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Just be giving those guys support, and then by doing that, we're starting to see VeVe really boost up and support the content creators that are out there. And I just think that's phenomenal. So thank you guys. Thank you so much, VeVe, for all that you guys do supporting us, man. That's awesome.
Speaking of those giveaways, I was talking to a good friend last night. She called me out for having a really big wallet last night on stream. That's not a euphemism. I really have a George Costanza looking wallet, and
he does. It's massive. It's embarrassing massive. It's
not to be confused with my massive chain. No. I was talking to her last night, just very smart, very intelligent, and she had said like, I don't really know anything about it, but I downloaded the app and I didn't know you could have AR. Like she doesn't have a collectible. Like I didn't know you could do AR stuff with it. And it's like that'd be easier if when you sign up, you should get like a collectible. And I was like, well, they could do that because they keep 90 out of mostly every drop, but obviously the first 40 they're going to keep forever in like a museum. But they have an extra 50 on top of that, and they do a lot of drops. So I feel like every now and then, or for every new person that comes in for a limited time, they say, "Hey, if you sign up while supplies last, we'll just give you a collectible out of the 50 that they keep." And I think that would be a really fun way. It's like whenever anyone had MySpace, you always had at least one friend on MySpace. You were never alone. Your one friend was Tom, but everyone had at least one person they could start out with. It's like in a video game, you start off with one weapon, with one thing. So I think this would be a really good idea. But there might be some holes in it. There might be some things to work out. But just let me know what y'all think about that.
Yeah, what do you think, Cosmo?
Yeah, I think that's interesting, right? Like, it almost makes me wonder too if there's like some sort of collectible that they could give to people that like. Everybody gets one, but you can't necessarily sell it, but it's in your wallet. You could use it in VR or something to get them started that they can kind of play around with or so, but they don't have to worry about the supply so much because it doesn't hit the market and it's not something that people can mass stack at super, super cheap cost. That kind of changes the balance in MCP points or so, but that's a good idea. Yeah. And I love what they're doing with just integrating collectibles for giveaways and to content creators. And I think that would be an additional step to be able to do something like that for new sign-ons. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I always wonder what they did with the ones that they were reserving. And I love to see that they're giving some of those away. Like, what that is the use for them. And I wish they had started it sooner, but hey, better late than never. And it's good that they're doing that, right? So I love that they're coming on and just randomly coming on people's shows. So it incentivizes, especially because the randomness, it incentivizes people to be more active because giveaways are fun. And so cool. Great job. And it's probably easier now that they have a full-time community manager. Before, like, the truth is, what was David Yu going to be doing that? Was Dan going to be doing that? Was the person that's building out their app or overseeing that going to be doing that? So probably the timing was finally right for them to do that. And I love that they're doing that. They didn't have to do that. Love that they are doing that. It just makes collecting more fun. And what I love about David Yu is when you have a CEO that is like understands the way collectors think, and he's building like the app that probably he would want. That's like the perfect combination of things. And he is a collector, so he gets like the mind of the collector. And that's why I think so many good decisions are made by this company. You know, a lot of times people focus on, oh, they should have done this faster and they took so long. And true. Okay. Are you wrong there? No, like, companies make mistakes. But are you giving them credit for all the amazing good decisions that they made, all the top intellectual property that every other content, like every other NFT company or whatever, would love to have, and yet they never can get? They've made so many good decisions, and this is just another one of them.
Yeah, I love it. Love that support, and like doing it, like, I don't know. The thing that I think about, Randy, is if it's like for a limited time, we're going to give these away. I feel like people would just get synthetic accounts and get those collectibles. And then, like, I don't know. I mean, and I guess I don't know ultimately how many collectibles they have. I know that there's 15. They do a ton of drops. But, like, I would rather see those given away to people who've been here or who are here. I feel like there's other ways to incentivize bringing on new people. And I think that one of those is through and we've talked about that, right? Like the affiliate program or basically some sort of referral mechanism there, because we know, like, I want to call them like a whale in the social media realm, right? Like millions, tens of millions of followers. And they've said, like, look, like, if they do an affiliate program, I'll start like shilling VeVe like crazy. So I think that is a real easy way to do that. But again, it'll cost more. It'll cost more than just giving out these free ones.
I don't know if that would cost more, because the affiliate program, if it does it the way that we'd think it should, where they only give you a percentage of the new money that's generated that's being spent in the store, then it wouldn't really cost them anything. It eats into their profits a little bit, but they wouldn't have gotten that revenue without that.
And that's fair. I guess I was thinking from like a revenue standpoint, but yeah, nope, that's a good point. So, like, again, like I'm pushing for it. I would love to see that happen. Let's see. We've got a couple comments. I love this from VeVe Vet. He says, VeVe's digital collectibles and NFTs right now are what Bitcoin was to me back in 2010. I didn't understand the technology back then, but I do with NFTs. I truly believe NFTs will blow up like crypto did. And Mass Murder says, like, I agree with that. So some great comments there. We've got Patsy Weber, who says, hey, been watching on X. Never watched a stream on X before. And so shout out for that. And I love what X is doing, like with the ability to stream. I think that X is actually pushing out a lot of like live streaming on their platform right now. They're really trying to magnify that and push that out. So I think that we're actually getting a lot of exposure, much more exposure on X than we actually are on YouTube, to be honest, and pushing that out. We got Ace Big Move saying good morning. Love it. Good morning, Dr. Seth. Hey, thank you. A personal thank you for that. I like, let's see. I didn't see much of your UGC of VeVe shorts. Is that Randy? I think that's Randy. He's talking about your VeVe shorts, maybe?
So they were just taken from like interviews, or they were taken from videos. So they weren't like, I didn't like make new content specifically for a short. It was just, they were clips that I had taken. And sometimes they got decent views, but a lot of times they didn't. if you really work at them, supposedly it helps the algorithm and they push your stuff. But it was a lot of work, and it's not going to make a ton of money with that. So it was like,
yeah. Well, hey, let's jump to the next topic here. And Randy, you want to talk about this, and I want to get the comments from Crypto Cosmo and Rain, but like, so there's been certain people that just over time have come out and they've been like, oh, like they'll do a tweet or a snapshot and they'll show like how many collectibles they have of like one certain collectible that they've just been stacking. And it's kind of staggering sometimes, right? You're just like, what the heck? You're like 8% of this collectible or something, you know, like the entire collectible, this one person. So you want to speak more to that, Randy? And then we'll go Rain and then Cosmo.
Yeah. So there's people, there's collecting in different levels. There's people that are on different levels, whether it's in intelligences or game skill or the type of money that they make. And you see that in like a microcosm of collecting at large. You have people, there was somebody on a guy named Jafar over on Facebook. He had said, hey, I bought 60 of these Hulk number 181s across their account. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get any secret rares or anything, but you know, that's $1,200 and that's a lot. And we had yesterday, Mr. Rolex says like, yeah, I bought 100 something of these Marvel Mighties boxes, and he spent like $1,200.
He tried to get that Spider-Man Noir. That was
Yeah,
wild.
he got 2 of them though. He got lucky on that.
Out of 65. He said he bought 65 of those. And so that's crazy good odds to hit 2.
Yeah. And then you have Kaki Gaijin, which has 1% of Anna's from Frozen first appearance. So you have different people stacking a bunch of these different things. Mr. MC1 continuously buys, obviously, MC1s. In the top 500, you have people that buy 300 and 400 items per week, and they don't make the top 3 of the buyers. That goes to the crazy people that are buying 600 and 700, or Bezojman, which bought like 2,200 collectibles this week. That's heckin' nuts. So yeah, it's insane. And this is the top 500 only gets harder to be in. It only gets bigger. Or it's like there's only more people coming on and getting new accounts than there are leaving at this point. So you'll see that trend continue.
Yeah. Rain, are you stacking anything in particular right now? Or that you've done in the past and have a big stack of something?
Yeah, I was waiting to put a lot of money into the VeVe app. I put a lot into some other collectibles that, unfortunately, the VeVe app never super got punished. Like, people are like, prices are way down. But the truth is, they weren't way down compared to what the rest of crypto was. And why? Because there's this much stronger VeVe community than people really realize. And so I was hoping, actually, the price would get punished way more than they did. So I've started putting more money in and buying. I love the collectibles, right? Or the comics. So I've been buying a lot more comics. I bought some more Darth Vader, some more Boba Fett's. Those are, first appearance Darth Vader. I don't know if it's the first appearance in anything of Boba Fett. There was another company that had a Boba Fett like poster thing, NFT, but still, it's the first appearance collectible that I'm aware of, like augmented reality collectible. I think those are a big deal. We'll see. I'm waiting till the shine comes off some other things to really pick them up. Some of these things that launch in the last month or two are amazing, but I like to buy cheap. And so I'm just passively waiting till like everyone forgets about them and they're moving on to whatever shiny other object, and I can buy a bunch more for cheap. I know Cosmo does the same thing. In fact, sometimes he calls me. He's like, hey, are you thinking about this? These are super cheap. I'm like, no, I haven't thought about that. That's brilliant. Yeah. I'm going to buy some now. He's like, cool. I just bought the floor. I'm like, dang it. I hate you.
He calls you after, right? Like,
right.
Yeah. My move.
Then
Then you can buy for me as I slowly sell.
but he thinks the same way, right? Exactly the same way. And sometimes he thinks the same way before I do. And I'm like, crap. Good idea. Thank you for the heads up. I'll just wait a few days till sellers like panic some more and reset the floor.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, it's been interesting. Like, I have been amazed at some of the stacks that people have of certain collectibles. Honestly, like the first person that inspired me in that particular way was Mr. MC1 when it came out that he had 500 of those, and I was just like blown away. That was incredible to me, and like it was literally like during those times early on where I was like, man, if these things come back down in price, like I want to have a stack of my own of those, right? And so a couple of the comics. And so I did make a couple of plays in that regard, not nearly to that level. We got like 98 of the Marvel comic #1s now, so I'm just a couple away from 100. I've stacked, I think, like 110 or something of the Amazing Spider-Man #1s. And then at like 125 of the Fantastic Four #1. So a few of those Grail comics, I bought a bunch of those. And then apart from that, I've kind of just started to stack Grails in like trying to get like, I got like 5 Todds, 3 of the partner statues, and trying to have multiples of some of these Grails that I appreciate and I like. So that way I can, dollar cost average out as the prices start jumping significantly. So yeah, that's kind of been my strategy, and it's been fun to see some of these people posting some of their impressive stacks, man. I just can't even believe it.
Yeah, it's wild to me. Some of these, we got one right here, Planet Vampire. I love this. I only have 542 collectibles, but 287 are Ultramans. LOL, right? And like that's a stack. And I remember the first sub 100 mint collectible that I bought was an Ultraman. And it was mint number 80 of the first Ultraman, the common there. And I truly do believe like Ultraman is so huge. I don't think that like most people who live outside of Japan truly get how big Ultraman is, right? Like so I had a buddy who lived in Japan for a couple of years, and so I called him up. And as when VeVe announced Ultraman, I was like, "Can you tell me more, like who's this Ultraman character, right? Like, how big is he really? Is he like, Superman level? Is he Spider-Man level? Like what's he like? Is he like Dr. Octopus level? Like where's he at, right?" And he was like, "He's like Captain America, Iron Man, Superman, and Batman combined." You know what I mean? Like he is the guy. Like he is the ultimate superhero there, right? And I was just like, okay. So if I'm thinking long term, and I'm thinking at some point digital is going to be the way that people collect. Look, I'm watching the King of Collectibles on Netflix season 2, right? I'm just watching this, and I'm listening to all these people who were buying this stuff in the 70s, right, and the 80s, and they just had this foresight. And look, it's taken 40 years, but the stuff that they paid $3,000 for, $5,000 for, is now selling for like $10 million, right? And is that going to for sure happen? I know, like it's not for sure going to happen. Like there's no guarantee there. But I look at that and say, where's the world going? And if VeVe makes it right through this time, like this could be that. And so then I'm looking at the Grail pieces and also looking at different cultures and what their Grail pieces are. Right. And I think that Ultraman is one of those. So, Planet Vampire, like that's a stack, man. That's awesome. Like I love that. And then you got VeVe Vet again, just coming out with the fire on a lot of these comments. He says, one day there'll be about 1,000 collectors like me that buy and they just don't sell. And when that happens, all of the SRs will be gone and they'll become top dogs with MCP, right? Like there's going to be certain collectibles, I believe, again, if I'm projecting out and saying, I think VeVe's going to make it and digital collectibles become a thing, there will come a day when there's certain collectibles that just like aren't listed. Right. And maybe because I think about that now with some of the comics on King of Collectibles, he's talking about like some of these grails and they're just like, oh, you're looking for that. Those don't, they just like don't pop up. Right. Or there's like a small community and they kind of trade amongst that small community and it's really hard to break in. And I can just see that happening with that. And now it's but instead of like a small community at these Comic-Cons, now all of a sudden with digital, it's worldwide. And you have a worldwide market, and it's so much easier instead of putting it up for auction and like golden auctions, right? Literally, it'd be on the VeVe app, and people like I swear there'd be alerts, right? That it's just like this collectible's finally come on the market, and then people are just like trying to get it. So it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out, and I think it's going to play out over a long period of time. But one of the grails that I think is a grail, right, is the Todd, and Big A saying right now Todd is almost under $300. And I agree that seems low. That seems low for literally the first FA Batman on the blockchain. I think that's wild. So anyways, it's fun to kind of talk about these stacks and what's going on there. I'd love to hear going on to this next topic. Have you guys heard the news? And let's see, Cosmo or Rain first, right? If you guys have heard what's going on with some of these retail comic shops, have you heard anything with that? I know that Randy has, but I'm seeing if these guys will lead off with one of these guys.
I'll hop in, but or go ahead, Ray.
Well, go ahead. I was going to let you guys talk about it. I've heard about it, but just superficially.
Yeah, I mean, I've just heard what the headlines were saying basically is that the comic shops are going to eventually start fading away essentially, and that things are going to be going digital more and more, and that they're going to become more like boutique shops. Like you're just not going to see very many of them around anymore. And it's going to be that really kind of like you got to go hunt for the comic shop, and they're going to be fewer and far between. So that's the extent of what I know.
All right, well, let's go to you, Randy. Give us the alpha on all this.
I don't really know if it's a ton of alpha. It's just there's a YouTube channel called Clownfish that have almost 500,000 followers or 500,000 subs. And the video got about 10% of what that was, got about 50,000 views, give or take. And it was just saying like, hey, here's all of these comic book shops, and posted the quotes from 2 years ago saying like, comic books are doing just fine. People who, it's just these giga chads that don't want to admit that we're like super successful with this. And then all of these comic book chains are closing, or I should say most of them, because there are some of them that had adapted, that had said like, hey, I see that, yes, some people come in and they still like comics, but a lot of kids, they like Funko Pops, and a lot of kids, they like manga. So they limited the size of their comics. They got Funko Pops, they got other merch, they got manga, and those ones are the ones that survived. But a lot of the straight up DC and Marvel comic books, not including the smaller brands, it doesn't cut it anymore. Cue the memes of like the rent is too damn high, or cue the memes of just ain't nobody got time for that. The world is evolving, and it's easier for these companies to go in and say, hey, we're going to have a larger profit margin if we sell direct to consumer, and if we just go digital, they don't have to pay for the ink or the shipping or any of that. So when Marvel partners with someone like VeVe and they have an exclusive deal partnership with them, that's insane. Like they don't go anywhere else. They're trying to push all the Marvel Unlimited people that had millions of downloads over into these Marvel comics. That's something that I think a lot of people really need to take heed of, and I feel like a lot of people still aren't. It's getting better. There are at least some people now at Comic-Con, you guys will see it there next week, that'll be like, oh yeah, digital is okay. It's not really my thing, but some people like it. Whereas 3 years ago, you go to a Comic-Con and, hey, have you guys heard of VeVe? And they just wouldn't even talk to you. So they're slowly coming around. How much longer does this take? Is this going to be like a stepping stone? I don't know. But that's just kind of my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you guys some statistics on this. So there's this trade organization called Comics Pro that kind of like represents a lot of comic book shops like in the direct market, right? And they did a survey earlier this year where they asked comic book sales, like comparing their comic book stores, comparing their comic book sales. Listen to these numbers, guys. Like this is why that guy's talking about this. But the preliminary results of the survey of comic retailers conducted this year shows that that sales fail at 69% of responding retailers. So sales at 69% of the responding retailers, comic book, their sales had fallen, right? And that includes Comics Pro members and other stores. Now they said sales of new comics periodicals were down at 73% of responding comic shops in 2023 compared with 2022. So from 2023 to 2022, comic sales had dropped in 73% of those stores, right? While graphic novel sales were down at 65% of those shops, right? And graphic novels accounted for 18% of sales on average at responding retailers. So it just says that the majority of the comic industry is experiencing financial strain. Retailers seem to agree that their experience of the struggle would be mitigated through more coherent and consistent product data, reduced shipping rates, and a continuation of purchasing risks being shared by the publisher. So there's a lot of reasons as to why some of these things are down, but like at the end of the day, like sales are down pretty significantly, like across the industry. And like Randy said, right, like as some of these comic book producers are just looking at the cost and saying like, why are we gonna like share in the cost burden here if we can go digital and cut costs even more, and there's a bigger profit margin. Oh, and by the way, every time that comic sales, we get like an additional revenue off that, right? And so like I don't think that physical will ever go away, but it's going to be like the major comic book stores that potentially just make it, right? Because they can do the volume there. And so that's just something to think about. It's kind of sad, like listening and talking to that, because I'm just getting back into comics and going into my local comic book store, right? And it's just like this guy who's been there for like 20 years, and I've talked to him about it, and it's they're struggling there a little bit, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see, but this is where I'm just saying all of the signs are pointing towards digital, right? Like, and that's what I like. Again, it's still a risk, but when I'm looking at everything and I'm like trying to take a step back and just look at all of these things that are happening there, the advancement of the technology, AR, VR goggles, right? As we're seeing Marvel Comics partner with VeVe to do like digital stuff, and then we're seeing this financial strain on physical comic book retail stores. All of these things are saying a lot of this stuff is going digital.
Two words.
Yeah.
Blockbuster Video.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Comment down below to pay respects.
And I love Blockbuster Video as a kid, but technology went digital. And what are collectibles going? Digital. And why? Well, the producers get it. They make money on resales. To them, they're like, oh my gosh, this is crack cocaine. Because so somebody just spent $1,200 in the app that Randy was talking about. And think about it. VeVe got a check, or not VeVe. Well, VeVe got a check out of that. They made some money out of that, as well as like Marvel or whatever he was buying, DC or whatever, got a check too. And they're like, oh my gosh, we love VeVe. And is it worth it to us? Like, essentially you're paying a little bit of a tax. Well, what makes sense to me of digital collectibles, even though there's like a little bit of a tax, and whether it's like 5% or 8%, still is within the fair realm, because like you don't have to send it off to get graded. You have access to a marketplace that you can put it on, and it can sell 2 seconds later to someone on the other side of the world. So to me, like, that's amazing. No shipping costs. You don't have to verify like, okay, are they paying me through PayPal, but then going to refund it? None of that. It's all like they buy it on the app. It transfers to them safely, securely. You get the gems for it. Perfect.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? It's almost like a convenience fee. I don't know if I said this, but like I still have a ton of like unopened boxes of Disney Lorcana, like season 1 or whatever they're how would they term that, right? The first release. But like I was opening packs and I got the Elsa, right? The super rare Elsa and things, and I was super stoked. I dragged my feet a little bit. I was so bugged because it was selling for around like $1,200 to $1,400. But then I was like, oh, like I'll wait just a little bit. Like I'll get to posting it on eBay and stuff. And then they announced like the second season, and then the Elsa like dropped, or they announced that they're going to be reprinting like, like another run of the first season, and like Elsa dropped from $1,200, $1,400 to $800. I was like, ugh. But like it was great. Like, honestly, I posted on eBay, and like they had this format where I was able to send it off because it had to get validated that it was actually like legit, right? It wasn't some scam, and that ate into like the percentage of my profits, right? I had to pay for that, but it was great, and it was like overall it was easy. But again, like the market's super. Only people who happen to be looking at eBay at that time, and are looking for that, like just the market is a lot smaller, and it's still a hassle. Whereas, like Rain said, there is like a fee, right, associated with selling that. But again, it's instantaneous. There's this marketplace. I get the gems right in my account, and again, you don't have to get it graded. There's no shipping, and there's no scam, right? It's all there. So I just think that convenience, right, and people absolutely like just flow towards convenience, right? They just go to where it's the most convenient, the least path of resistance. Water does that, like human nature is that. It's just like Like it's just so much easier to do it this way. And so that's when they migrate. And that's why, and we're going to get into this, right? That's why OMI to NFT, I think, is important, and also making OMI more accessible is going to be very important for its success. And so I want to share this question here, and we'll pose this to Rain here. But question, if and when OMI gets to a point where you would decide to sell / take profits, how many of you would, so sorry, to Rain first, and then we'll go Cosmo and then Randy, then I'll follow it up. But if and when OMI gets to a point where you would decide to sell / take profits, how many of you would put some money back into VeVe Collectibles?
The answer to that question depends absolutely on where pricing is at on the VeVe Collectibles. So if OMI happens to run first, then that would make sense for me. But if they run at the same time, it's like sell high to buy high. I don't know. If I'm taking money out of the ecosystem, I'm taking money to put it into either savings or into Lamborghinis or whatever else, right? So I wouldn't be trading in if they both run at the same time. If OMI takes off way ahead of collectibles, then I would absolutely be trading into a bunch of collectibles. Like, at some point they're going to run. Like, at some point, I do think the number of collectors desiring this early release stuff is going to be way bigger than the supply of them. And so demand will vastly exceed supply. The price will go crazy. People want these social flex pieces, and they'll pay huge money. And some princes in India and other place will be like, what? You have one of those? Give you 300 grand for it. And you're like, no. Okay, $1 million. Oh, $1 million. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. So yeah, we'll see if it plays out that way. But I think this has the potential. This is one of the coolest things that I've seen in my lifetime, right? Like, I knew even when I was a kid, I've always thought this way. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first came out. I was like, these collectibles are going to be really, really big, especially since this is the first time they're making things of them. And I think the cartoon is really cool. These collectibles be worth a lot of money. I've always kind of had a knack for that. Oh, when Halo things first came out, I was like, oh, that's going to be worth a lot because Halo is going to do really well. I think those are small in comparison, because what did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle things go to? About $120. So if you kept them for like 25 years, they end up going from like $5 to 120, which seems like a lot, but not over that time period. I think digital collectibles, because you go to this global marketplace, will be huge. And the number of fans versus the supply, like the supply on these is actually quite small compared to what I think the number of fans is going to be. And that's going to be part of what drives the price to go so crazy. So we'll see. I mean, great question. We'll talk a little bit more about OMI in just a second. I'm curious to hear everyone else's thoughts on this.
Cosmo, what about you, bud?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to be watching the price of the collectibles in detail. For those that you were here during the last run, Q4 and Q1, Q4 of 2021 and Q1 of 2022, if you notice the collectibles, not everything ran at once. There were collectibles that would be running up really fast, and you would look at another comic and nothing had happened at all price-wise. And then all of a sudden, a couple of days later, that comic would start running and it would like double, triple, quadruple in price. And so what I'm going to be doing personally is I'm going to be paying attention to the price of the different collectibles, see what's run, take some profits on some of the things that hasn't run. I'm going to be watching the collectibles that I feel are totally being overlooked, and I'm going to be scooping them before they've run, hopefully. I took advantage of that last time. I had some success with it. I'm going to be watching carefully during that time. And I'll use my OMI to do that if I need to. So,
what about you, Randy?
Mix of both the answers. There'll definitely be some arbitrage at the beginning where collectibles run first, OMI runs first, and obviously whatever runs, sell one for the other, unless they run at the same time. But then, yeah, as Crypto Cosmos said, it's like crypto, not everything runs at the same time. And the people that are going to be rewarded are the people that spend the most time on the app. They're the ones that know the averages. Okay, what is the price of a Shuri Black Panther? What's the price of a Superman? What are the average prices of a sub 100? How long have they been listed? How long have they been sold? And then Golden Moments might go first. Luke Skywalker might go first. And again, one of them will. And obviously, I would ignore. I would ignore a lot of the. If you're looking specifically for ROI, maybe a lot of the decon stuff has seen its best day already, and maybe that doesn't run again. Maybe Cryptkins doesn't run again. Maybe some things that have a decent amount of stuff, but maybe not a lot of fans. Maybe leave that alone. But take a look at the blue chip stuff. Take a look at almost anything Spider-Man. People go crazy for Spider-Man, and then see what runs first, and then do that. At any specific price points, I mean, the luxury of having a decent amount of OMI is that you can afford to make a little bit of you. There's a wide room for margin of error. You don't want to make it too wide. You don't want to, blow half your stuff, but you can take a little bit profit at 2 cents. And then if it goes up to, 30 cents, like, oh man, well, that's fine. Just take profits along the way. That's what I'll do. Obviously none of this is financial advice. And then a lot of the new stuff, like the new stuff that we haven't yet seen, but when OMI's at 10 cents, I don't know, what's the new stuff going to be? What are going to be the rules of OMI to NFT? How's that going to affect it? There's just too many contingencies for me to go and give a direct answer, but that's just kind of a broad spectrum of what I do.
Yeah. To round it out, I agree, it's going to depend on what's happening with prices of the collectibles themselves. But the nice thing is with OMI to NFT, and I'm going to get to, I'm going to touch on this because Wes, at the very beginning of this stream, he said, and I said that I'd get back to this, he says, if I ran a poll and 50% of the VeVe fam thinks OMI to NFT isn't coming until 2023. Well, the great thing is then, man, are they going to be excited if it comes out earlier? That's great. That's low expectations. That's phenomenal. I think it's coming by August, honestly, in some way, shape or form. We just heard Mr. MC1 talk about the fact that he's alpha tested or something like OMI to NFT. He's seen that happening. So it's happening. And but I just had to address that comment. I thought it was funny and appreciate Wes and the support that he constantly gives my channel there. But there's going to be arbitrage opportunities, right? When certain things run, you can sell that. And if you can sell that for OMI, you can cash into more OMI. And then if OMI's dropping, if OMI's gone up, then you can cash into collectibles that haven't pumped yet, like Cosmo was saying, right? So, and to Randy's point, that the more you're in the app and you're seeing that, right, the more aware you're going to be of where price points are on certain collectibles, and you'll be rewarded for that. I have to address this. I think this is important. So right now, if people are seeing right now on the app, the FA tag on Superman is gone. And he says, if that's true, it ruins VeVe. You can't take an FA away 3 years later. WTF. So I have to call myself out because this happened where there was a glitch in the app and I forgot how to say his name. Graining. His signature on the bottom of Homer's foot disappeared on the Homer Bart statue. And I was on Randy's channel and I went off, guys. I'm like, that's it. I was freaking out for an hour. And as I'm freaking out, after an hour, someone's like, oh, hey, Doc, it's back. And I was like, I felt like I totally was this knee-jerk reaction, and it was a way huge overreaction. And I learned my lesson there. Look, the likelihood that they are taking the FA away is 0% chance for me. If more than likely as they're doing some updates, some of these things, there's glitches. We already had one. There was another glitch where an FA tag went away and then it came back, right? So Gobi for me. Now, I agree with you. If for whatever reason there was a permanent removal of an FA tag that's been there for years, I would be the first one to call that out and be like, this is unacceptable. And I would be freaking out. I'd be freaking out. I'm not going to freak out until I wait for the team to respond and to comment on that. Now, again, if their comment is, hey, yeah, we're removing some of these tags, there will be a rant stream for me, right? And that does change. That will change a lot of things for me. So hopefully, and Big A, real quick, I'm going to just address this, but do y'all believe VeVe Collectible will also be cyclical and have a bull bear cycle? I would say yes, just like the physical collectibles have cycles, right? Where there's times where things go really up and there's hyped. I think that'll be the same with VeVe if digital collectibles become a thing. We got Cams. What's up, Cams? Even though she's just saying hi to Randy, I did meet her and she's great. It's okay. I don't take it personally. Just gives you a hard time. But she is one of the people working on the tetherball. meme coin that she's been on Randy's channel before, and she's great. So if you haven't watched that stream, you should, where he talks about that multiple different streams. And look, Echoes is right, man. Don't mess with my Simpsons. Like I'm a huge Simpsons fan. I've watched that my whole life growing up. Like I love the Simpsons, and I truly was. I was just like losing it because I love that collectible so much, and that signature on Homer's foot meant so much to me that I was like, this is like unacceptable, freaking out. So okay, now we're gonna dive a little bit more into OMI. So Rain, I'd love if you want to take it over, right, and share your screen, kind of talk about OMI, and then we'll all kind of talk about the crypto market, right? Because there's been some movement. And it's pretty wild. So hold on, Rain. I'm gonna add your thing here, but when I show these comments, you guys bear with me because I'm trying to think of which.
There's another selection that allows you to put the bottom. That way, when you show a comment, it will pop the comment up and it'll pop up the pictures of everyone. So you'll.
There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, I got it down. Okay,
so this is OMI's price, and there are better price histories, but not on TradingView. Like there's a better history on like this chart, CoinLore, but it's just harder to like chart out. So you can see they're going to want me to refresh it. Maybe. Seems to be non-cooperative. Okay, let me go back to TradingView. So we had this huge, well, a couple resistances, right? So when it broke below 0.001 cents or whatever, right? A lot of people freaked out and they're like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. It's going terrible. And then it broke down even further here. And again, people freaking out. And the truth is the chart, this little pattern suggests that it's likely going to break down further a little bit.
Will you say that again, Rain? I think it's important for people to hear that.
Yeah, likely the price is going to break down. So it's about a 2/3 chance that the price is going to break down further from here.
So if it breaks down, what's the next support level?
I don't know. It would show up on the historical charts a lot better.
Yeah.
But it would probably be equal to like an amount. Let me go back to grab this. And so it might only be equal to about this amount. So it might come down to, oh my gosh, somewhere in the 0.003 range, and maybe it's 0.00033. And you'll have some people absolutely freaking out. Like, this is the most terrible thing ever. This is horrible. OMI's dead, VeVe's dead, all that stuff. And none of that is true. What's funny is the fundamentals and the price action don't always correlate, especially because people get so emotional about it. Like, part of the reason investing can be so profitable is because 90-something% of the people in the space are so emotional. And if it does break down lower, they will absolutely freak out. And that's part of what will push it even lower when these breaks happen, is that people freak out instead of acting with their rational mind. And one of the easy examples I used of the last bear market was Cardano. And some people say, well, Cardano's a layer 1 blockchain and VeVe's not a layer 1 blockchain. They don't, OMI token, they have nothing to do with each other. And it's like, they have so much to do with each other. The patterns are very, very similar. The FUD was very, very similar. The delays were very, very similar. So does everything perfectly line up between the two? No. And people, at the time, I started buying Cardano at 11 cents. Now, did that feel very good when Cardano then went to 8 cents and 7 cents? No, but I bought more at 7 cents. And then it went to 5 cents. And did that feel very good? No, but I just dollar cost averaged more at 5 cents. And then it hit 3 cents, and I really loaded the boats. And then I had some money set aside in case it went even cheaper, because I was like, well, shoot, by then I kind of realized that you buy cheap and sometimes it goes even cheaper. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing. That's an amazing thing. Because fundamentally, I felt like, the person behind Cardano was laying out a really good case for why there were delays. And though it sucked and they were like 3 years behind schedule, things were still coming together and good development was happening. And it would later get on some exchanges and it would later get some traction, and that their vision would come together. And guess what? It eventually did. And it went 200x from the bottom. Now, did it suck when I bought it 3 cents and it went to 1.7 cents? Yes, it sucked. Especially because I had some money set aside but then something happened. I wasn't able to use that 10 grand I had set aside to buy it if it went under 2 cents. So then it was disappointing because that was an amazing price to get some. So some people will freak out if it does break to the downside, and it's just a 2/3 chance that it breaks further to the downside. Long-term thinkers see that is an amazing thing because of the different projects in the crypto space. VeVe has ongoing revenues. Do you realize how rare that is in the crypto space? Name an AI project in the crypto space that has incoming revenues that are substantive. Name, in fact, a project in the crypto space other than a token related to an exchange that has incoming revenues for it. There are a few, but there are very, very few. So the company behind it has revenues coming in, has more substance behind it than almost everything. And yet the token is getting absolutely destroyed. Part of the reason it's getting absolutely destroyed is because it went so high. It was one of the highest gainers in the last market. And what swings too high to the upside often swings too far to the downside. And a lot of people see that as a terrible thing. I'm an investor. I see that as an amazing thing. I wish the VeVe Collectibles had swung more to the downside. Why? Because I very much believe in them long term. Part of the reason I haven't been loading up more on VeVe Collectibles is because I've been loading up on the OMI token while it's been way too cheap to the downside. Cool. Did I load up a whole bunch in this range? Yes. Do I wish I'd set it all on the sidelines? If I had a perfect understanding that'd go to here, that's exactly what I would have done. But I don't have a magic crystal ball. So is it likely to break further to the downside? Yes. Is that a bad thing? Some people will see it as that cool. I see it as a great thing.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'd love to get like your guys' thoughts. Cosmo, what do you think? What do you think about this potential drop in price? And I almost removed you because I was going to remove Reigns. Yeah, like I'd love your thoughts on this, and then we'll go to Randy.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I'm in agreement with Rain on this. Like, I bought a bunch of OMI at this current level. And so I have money set aside that if it does drop in price, I will be scooping another sizable bag for that reason, just being prepared to be able to dollar cost average. And if it doesn't go down, then so be it, and I'll just ride the wave up. So yeah, I believe in the project. And I think that's really what it comes down to is, do you really believe in the fundamentals of what's going on in the project? That you believe that they have the ability to last financially, that they've got the community that they can last, and that they've got a project and a use case that can last. And I think VeVe has all three of those in spades. And so for that reason, when the price drops, I simply see it as an opportunity to be able to buy cheaper. So yeah, I don't get concerned about it. I'm looking at the fundamentals. If I see those fundamentals start changing, I would get more concerned about that than I would about any sort of changes in the price.
Yeah. What about you, Randy?
I'd be excited. If it goes down to, Rain put a guesstimate of like 0.0031, so around there. And that's nice. $310 for a million OMI is really freaking nice. If it happened to go below there at like 0.0025, I might cancel my San Diego trip and I might pick up like 10, 15 million OMI. Like that's, oh my God, I'll sell the hotel rooms. I'll sell the Airbnb. I'll sell whatever I need to sell. I like it I liked it at 0.005. So I bought a lot there. So, seeing anything in the 000s for me is a buy whenever I get some extra money. But, I was talking mid to high 000s. If we're talking about low 000s, 0.002, 0.003, I'd probably set, all in all, maybe I'd just get, another 10 to 15 million. I wouldn't go crazy with it. I wouldn't, sell a bunch of stuff and drop like 30 grand, but I'd do 3 to 5 grand probably.
Yeah. I just wanted to paint a picture. Number one, this is not financial advice. We are saying what we would do, and there's risk to that. It could go lower, right? Like it could go to zero. All crypto could go to zero. We believe that the chances of that with OMI is very, very minimal. And if you look at some of the sizes of the bags of the people who have purchased, hundreds of millions of OMI token, I think that speaks to their conviction on what that is, right? But everyone has a different risk tolerance. I think that's important to say. So there's a chance that it could go down. Now, The other thing, though, right, is that's the technical analysis. And what we have seen sometimes is that the technical analysis can fail when there's fundamentals or something that changes with the project, like the announcement of OMI the NFT, right? So I would imagine that if OMI the NFT is announced that they're doing beta and there's some examples of that, I think that could change the trajectory of where the token is going potentially, right? We don't know. But I'm with you. Like, I honestly, if OMI drops like to the 0003s, like I definitely would drop like a sizable bag to up my, because I've only got 22 million OMI, right? Like I've put a lot of money into a lot of other projects that were supposed to have like TGEs like 6 months ago, and just with the market, like they just haven't launched yet. And so I was thinking I was going to be able to utilize some of those and then roll that into OMI, and it just like hasn't happened. So we'll see. But at that price, I'm going to have to move some stuff around and jump some more into that to up my OMI bag. But look, this is like Big A is talking about this. He says, that was me buying Bitcoin. I started buying at 6K, then it dropped, bought more, then it went all the way down to 3K. Felt bad at the time. And it does. It's painful, right? When you're just like, my investment just dropped 50%. Are you freaking kidding me? You know, and you're like, okay, and you have one of two options. You can be pissed. Well, three options. You can hold, right? And just be like, hopefully something happens. You can sell because you're pissed and emotional and you're just like, I don't want it to go down more. Or you can dollar cost average. Now, it's not going to work out every time, but obviously it worked out very well for him when he said, I felt bad at the time. But then when it went to 70K, it didn't really matter between the coins that got at 3K or 6K, right? Like he made some very sizable gains there. And again, this is like our thought process on the OMI token and where we think that it has the potential to go. So anyways, I thought that was important to kind of cover that. But jumping into, guys, we can only do one more topic here, and then I got to bounce. So I think that this is important for the community. Let's talk a little bit about the FTX settlement and how it may relate to the BitForex situation with OMI. Do you want to jump into that, Randy?
Yeah, sure.
What's up,
FTX.
Paul? Sorry.
Yo, what up, Paul?
Yeah,
Love that dude. So FTX was they were returning about 90% of their customer funds, but there's a catch. They were doing so at the price the crypto was when they declared bankruptcy, which was a couple of years ago now, and they're not giving it back like their crypto. They're giving back cash in place of it, which is whatever. I don't know how that's legal, but that's what they're doing, and they're able to sell off their crypto now themselves in order to pay them cash. And now obviously crypto's climbed up a lot higher. The CFTC has reached an agreement with them saying that they have to pay about $12.7 billion. Now, if BitForex does the same thing, and because this is just the blueprints that we're going off of, then they'll have to dump OMI in order to start paying some people off. Now, this could mean a lot of massive sell pressure for the token in the short term, where crypto, the prediction of 00031 could be a high. It could be too high for it, and in which case it does go down to 0002. Because they had, I think, 22-ish billion on there. They had a lot. Can
I rebut that a little bit, actually?
Yeah.
Because the price of OMI is actually lower right now than it was when they froze. So actually, it would be more beneficial to just hand out the OMI. Because they'd actually have to, like, if they sold the OMI, they would be short on what the value of the OMI was at the time, and they'd have to make that up somehow. So I would believe in that type of bankruptcy situation that they would actually just give the OMI tokens at that point, and there wouldn't be that massive sell pressure. The only time that would happen is if the value of the OMI had superseded what the value was at the time that those funds got frozen.
That's a good point.
And when the funds got frozen, like, did they have a hack? Did they lose a bunch of ETH in Bitcoin? Because then how they're going to handle it is different. Then, I don't know what the answer to that is. But if they just got shut down by China, okay, then they just got shut down and all the funds are hopefully still there. And they can just then distribute people their funds. If they're missing a whole bunch of funds, then they're going to sell the funds they do have and then try to distribute fairly. So if a bunch of ETH and Bitcoin got taken, what that really means is they're going to be selling off a bunch of my OMI to distribute to the people that got stolen. Is that fair to me? No. Is it the way it is? Yes. Like for me, I had like 32 million on BitForex, and I knew I was taking a risk. Whenever you have it on someone else's exchange, not your keys, not your crypto, and I hadn't pulled off a bunch, I would go through batches that I'd accumulate a bunch, then I'd move it over. I'd accumulate a bunch, then I'd move it over, and got caught with my hand with 32 million in there. And it's like, crap, am I ever going to see that again? Probably not. Like if I do, great. But for now, I just have that written off as a loss because I have no control over what happens to it. And so all it will do is tie my mind up, wasting my time if I focus on that money rather than how do I get more OMI or what other better decisions can I be making with that time? So that's what I'm focused on. Now, would it dump OMI in the short term? I don't. Look how long FTX took to get resolved. And so I don't know that some kind of settlement is going to be reached on that in the short term. So could it dump it down the road? I think they'll probably be working something out 6 months to a year from now. And where's OMI's price going to be then? Probably a whole lot higher. And then they're in a really good position, especially if they are missing a bunch of Bitcoin and ETH, because then they can sell OMI off it, say it's gone 100x from here, and then distribute across all the people that they lost funds to. And, you know, I'll get like a pittance of what the OMI value would have been had I moved it off to my own wallet.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? And let's do this. I've got to go here. So why don't we kind of wrap it up? Let's kind of give you guys we'll start with Crypto Cosmo. If you can kind of give just like a recap, summarize your thoughts and feelings of what's happened so far with San Diego Comic-Con, these announcements, and where VeVe and OMI are right now.
Yeah, very much looking to go to San Diego Comic-Con. It's going to be my first major con. Just bullish on VeVe and OMI in general. I love what they're building. I love the community that they've created. I love the partnerships that they keep creating. It keeps me engaged and wanting to, pick up more and more collectibles. I just love where it's going, and whether it happens now or a little bit later where the price starts jumping, I'll just take advantage of it when that time comes. And again, like being diversified is key so that you don't have to stress about if it's going up and you're counting on those funds. But yeah, just bullish on everything going on with VeVe and looking forward to the future with it.
Awesome. What about you, Randy?
This next week next week is going to be pretty historic. For the first, there's probably happened in other places. I just don't know where it is, but typically Comic-Con is like 7 years to get a booth there, and VeVe got it just like that. So I don't know who they talked to. They had to bribe what they had to do, but they got one very quickly, and I think a lot of other people are going to take notice, and you're going to have whatever the announcements, whatever surprises there are there, and that's great. But then take a look at what happens after. I'm very excited, and everyone else should be too.
What about you, Rain?
Well, I'm in here in crypto for the massive increase in value it can have if you're doing it right. And the reason why I love OMI so much is it's well positioned to do exceptionally well. Now, I don't have a magic crystal ball to know for sure if it's going to do well. I can't see into the future. If you think about what is guaranteed and what's not in life, we're not even guaranteed that we'll wake up tomorrow and the sun won't explode. So there's no guarantees. What we're playing with is probabilities. And I wanted to share a thought from one of my long-term followers that said, I would like to thank you. I think perhaps it hasn't dawned on you just how wealthy your audience is set to be. For myself, 3 to 5 million after the current bull run, then ride Bitcoin up after buying at the bottom again in 2027, to then hopefully another 12 million, followed by 10x on top of that for blue chips. Well, who knows if those numbers come out to be what he's hoping they'll be. What I can tell you is he's learned to think the right way. And when you learn to think the right way about crypto, you then are stacking the odds in your favor. It doesn't mean you're going to win every hand. You're not. Part of the thing is you won't. You're playing the odds, and you're learning to stack the odds in your favor so that on average, you're going to win bigger than you lose when you learn to stack the odds in your favor. But a lot of people that come into crypto at first, they play on raw emotion, and emotion will get you stacking the odds against you over and over again. That's why so many people do poorly in crypto. Thanks for putting this on. I love my co-host, Crypto Cosmo. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't followed Cosmo on Twitter, follow him. He's amazing. He gives me a lot of good insights. We've been friends for a long time. And so he calls me and I'm always like, oh, your analysis is solid. Thank you. Also, shout out to Paul Lizzie in the audience. If you haven't followed Paul Lizzie on Instagram, his Instagram is fire. I love his stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And look, I want to give a shout out to everyone who's here. We have almost 400 people watching the stream right now. That's phenomenal, right? And I'm going to call out Omili Tees because for some reason he keeps doing this Twitter space around the time that we're doing that. That's messed up, Omili. That's freaking messed up. I'm freaking wearing your shirt, bro. And you're setting up Twitter spaces. You have Twitter spaces all day, every day. You could schedule around our live stream, homie, on Wednesday. So we're gonna have some words, my friend. But I love that guy, and I appreciate everyone who's watching. Right, again, almost 400 people watching at this time. It's awesome. Thank you so much. Look, at the end of the day, I continue to invest my time and to set up these things and to come on and talk about this, whether it's on my own channel, around the Ecomiverse, Omi's my homie, guests on other channels, because I truly believe like in this project. I would not be doing that if I didn't. It's not like time is so valuable. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the friendships that I made. And if it all went to zero, I would look back on this and honestly be like, man, I came out way ahead with the connections and the friendships I've made so far. Like this family, the community is phenomenal. So guys, if you're not really embedded in the community, make the effort to do so. There's so many people here, right? If you're close to one of these conventions, San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, even if you're not going to the cons themselves, try to come to the after parties and stuff. Find out where people are going to be and just meet some of these people in spaces. There's so many epic connections that you can make there. So I'm grateful for that. I'm excited for the future of digital collecting. I'm excited to see OMI NFT. I do believe that it's coming by the end of August. And if not, I will make a video talking about that. So anyways, shout out to all of you guys for all of your support. And again, if you haven't already, smash, push, crush, gently press the like, subscribe, and all notification buttons. Follow us on X. And with that, we'll leave you. Thanks so much, fam. Appreciate you.
Thanks.